Hi, everyone, and welcome to Entertwine's launch Chronicles. I'm here with people from the entertainment industry, and I'm here to talk about how they experience the industry and a little bit of advice that they can share for all of us. Today, I'm speaking with Kandace Moore, and I would clap, just clap, like pretend there's sound effects,
Ah!
like
Like that,
screaming and shouting.
like that cheap Nickelodeon like laugh noise in the background whenever there was a joke that wasn't funny.
Did you know that that's actually what crowds sound like when they laugh when you're around children? That's it.
Yeah.
It's so weird. It sounds exactly like children. I've been on stage with children, and then you hear them laugh in the background, and it sounds like ah, and it's like really high pitched, and it falls back down. So it's
That's
accurate.
gross. Oh my goodness.
So welcome. So who are you, Miss Candace? Who are you? Introductions.
Who is she? My name is Kandace Moore. I am a artist and performer and currently entrepreneur. I started my own business recently. Shameless plug. But yes, I refer to myself as a creative. That's the term I prefer. Yeah, I just do it all, do what I feel, and do it all in the name of love and blackness, and yeah, that's it.
Blackness. Okay, so some heavy, harder questions at the beginning. Why did you choose to pursue entertainment as a career? I know why I did it. I want to hear why you did it.
Right. Why did I? I feel as though it's not necessarily something I chose. I feel as though it's something that kind of chose me. I know it's very pseudo, very deep, but honestly, it's just something I knew very early on in my life that I wanted to do. And, thankfully, I grew up in a home with, with family and with loved ones who wanted to see me succeed and wanted to see me, pursue my dream, thankfully. And like they saw the gift in me early on and they said, okay, like this is what you want to do. So let's go for it. And did their best to cultivate that as best they could as I was growing up. So, yeah, it's just always something that I felt was a part of my life and a part of my calling. Maybe not
Mm.
necessarily entertainment because that has such a negative that word has a negative connotation to it, but it's definitely like the arts and pursuing that has always just yeah, it's just always been a part of me. It's just I couldn't picture myself sitting behind a desk. I just couldn't.
Well, that's great that your family supported you when you told them you wanted to do art. A lot of Black families don't see art as something that you pursue.
Yeah,
So
and
how did you persuade them for that?
well, let me see. Both of my parents are educators, so learning in school was always something that was so driven in my family that doing things that were in a creative outlet when they saw that this was something that I wanted to do, I think they really pushed for that. My father's a musician. My mother, she wanted to be an actress. So I suppose it was that like they saw like it's in the family, so they they took the time to instill that in me, and as you said, a lot of Black families um, and families in general really don't really push that, and I think that's because
Mm.
there's always like that pitfall, like, okay, well, what if you don't take off, what if it doesn't happen, what if like all the what ifs, the shoulda coulda wouldas, those things always happen, but you know who who's to say that it won't work out, and you'll never know unless you
Mm.
try, you know so yeah, thankfully, like I said, I grew up in a family where that was very much so encouraged, so I'm grateful for that.
That's great. I had to trick my parents into letting me do this. I accidentally got into school for writing, and they were like, "What?" And I was like, "I don't know what I'm doing here either, but it's a great school, so we're gonna keep going." So I'm glad that yours are so supportive.
Listen, you
Okay,
gotta
so
do it. Gotta do
right,
what you gotta.
and it, like you said, it might turn out that I become a fabulous big shot, and we just never know because that wasn't something on the agenda. I'm not going to be a lawyer.
You didn't throw away your shot. You didn't.
Now, speaking of school, where did you go to school?
I went to Fairleigh Dickinson University campus at Florida.
What did you study?
I studied theater. My concentration was musical theater. I feel like that's so redundant, but that's what my degree says.
No, I mean theater one doesn't teach singing. Like musical theater does teach singing, right?
That is
I
fair,
hope.
yeah.
Okay, so you
Yes.
can so you can blow, right?
Singing is involved.
Okay. So, but you can blow, right? You can go on stage and you can blow people away.
I mean, she can carry a tune, something like that, you know.
Okay. Well, what was it like when you graduated? What was the world like? Did you get any job opportunities? Did school set you up for that? Did you rolling your eyes at me? Like I don't know what the answer is. I feel like there's a story here.
It's a very long story, and I don't know if we have the time necessarily to go through. But I will say this: school taught me mostly my experience, at least, um, that a lot of these things is definitely a solo type of journey, if that makes
Mm.
sense.
Hmm.
And because I do a PWI and I was a Black woman at a PWI, um,
Hold on,
that
PWI.
meant
What does that mean? There might be people in the audience who don't know what that means.
correct. You're right. So a PWI stands for a predominantly white institution. So meaning that mostly there's going to be white students at the school. It was very much the case at my mater. Um, and I knew that going in. I knew that when I applied. I knew that when I got accepted. But I believe what really threw me a loop was, and again, this was as someone who was Black growing up in this country. It has always been a thing. Like, you know, growing up, we've always heard, like, you know, we had to be 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times better, having to do more, and having to do. You just have to be the best, regardless of what your path is, and I knew that going in, but it just made me realize that over time that I was going to have to do a lot more on my own. And one thing that I've learned, and that's been a through line over and over again from my time in undergrad, even now, is that when you are told no over and over and over again, and so many doors are being slammed in your face, there comes a time where you're just going to have to literally create your own yes. And
Mm.
that yes can look like anything. That yes can look like writing your own play, you just moving in your own direction, you going a different path. It's going to look different for everybody, but it means having to just kind of taking the reins. And for me personally, I was just very much so tired of just hearing no, like you're good, but like there was a lot of no's, there was a lot of buts, there was a lot of, you know, asterisks and footnotes and everything.
Mhm, mhm,
And I
mhm,
got
mhm,
tired
mhm.
of it, you know. And it yeah, and I was just at a point where I was just really fed up with that. So if anything, it just taught me that, you know, in this industry and in this life, there's a lot of things you're just gonna have to stand on your own feet about. And kind of just take the reins in your own way. Now, of course, it doesn't mean it's going to be a solo trip the entire time. Um, but it is a thing of where, you know, there's just a lot of things you're just going to have to take care of on your own. So yeah, I guess it taught me. I guess my experience taught me that I really had to put on my big girl pants. You know.
Okay, well then, okay, give an example of what it's like to put on your big girl pants and make the yes for yourself.
So yeah, after I really went through my experience, you know, and this is very just specific to me. Um,
Hmm.
you know, when I went through my undergraduate experience, like, you know, I wasn't always, you know, being picked. I wasn't the favorite and everything, and that was fine. I didn't come there to be anybody's favorite. But
Hmm.
shortly after graduating, I realized, like, you know, it was either having to go out in the real world, or, you know, stay in school and thug it out for a few years before heading out to
Mm.
the real world. I did take some time off, just sleep, to sleep
I know,
and
right? You
just
get so
wrap
tired.
my brain around. Okay, so, yeah, you know, like a month after you graduate, where you're just like dead.
Like sleeping like for
That's literally
months
what.
at a time.
I just like after graduation, I took my cap and gown off, just got to bed, just got right into bed, and it's just the thing of I just took the time to like really just figure out like, okay, what are we doing? What do we want to do
Mm.
now? What's up? And I did grad school, and I took the time to actually challenge myself as far as an almost borderline in an experimental type of way of just what does it really look like to take advantage of this social media world, right?
Mm.
And people are always talking about how much you have on your resume or who you worked with and this and that and the third. Your social media presence is king. And I really took the time to just figure out, okay, what does that look like? So I did,
Mm.
a few experiments. You know, I took different routes. I did things that were, that were a little different. I tried a few things. I had just gotten into makeup at that time, so I was challenging myself on, how to learn how to do makeup, how to do that properly, to challenge myself with different looks, etc. I'm doing, and that's something I'm still doing now. I
Mm.
started my own IGTV segment, and I was posting videos about that. I was doing different topics, testing, like, what audiences wanted to hear, what episodes working, what topics weren't. Um, I even started my own business, and I was trying to figure out like how to keep up with the Joneses and basically
Mm.
how to remain current. When I'm saying it's exhausting, but it's that's the way of the world now. And again, the main platform I'm talking about is Instagram. But
Mm.
these are all things that I've just been trying to learn as an artist and as a millennial. So yeah, I hope that answers your question.
I mean, it does. You want to do a slight plug? You want to tell people where they can find your IG?
I'm sorry, you were breaking up.
Do you want to tell people where they can find your IG?
I mean, if you don't mind, yes, my Instagram is at more Kandace. So as you see, my name is spelled Kandace Moore. It's just that backwards with of in the middle.
So that's at more of Kandace on IG. So if you want to see her stuff, you can go
Yeah.
see it. There was a plug there just for giggles,
Yes.
right? So let's see. I know you spoke about the industry, and I really want to get into the experience you had when you got out of college. And like, I know you said you made your own yes, and now you're on your IG channel. How is that going? What is the end game for that as well?
I feel as though I'm not really sure what the end game is, especially considering that there's so much evolution that's happening with the internet, with social media and everything like that, and that just really seems our window to the world, especially dealing with COVID and quarantine, especially like for artists specifically. We're not able to really convene with places and to work on stage and everything like that. It was hilarious. I actually had booked something right before everything fell apart, as I'm sure many artists did. But
Yeah.
I was right in the middle of like our first rehearsal, and everybody said go inside, and I'm like, wait,
My heart.
why? Mm-hmm. I still have my script. I cry over it every once in a while, but so is life.
Okay, so you want to give a little advice
To
to
answer,
those people? Yeah, sorry. You want to answer the question?
no, I was just wanted to make sure I answered your question.
End games, right?
Does that give? Yeah, end game. Yeah. So I'm not really sure if necessarily is one because of the way everything is right now. For me personally, the through line I think for me is just regardless if it's in person, if it's over an app, to just maintain my authenticity and what really means something. What does my artistry mean to me, and
Mm.
what does my specific creativity mean to the world? Um, just that I just have always just been keeping in mind, like ever since when I was younger. Like I just never wanted to just be a run of the mill, looking like somebody else, being like somebody else. It's very much so. It's always felt a thing of it was just a very unique path for me. So I just very
Mhm.
much so would like to maintain my authenticity and my artist my honesty in my artistry, and to just continue to that and inspire others to do the same. Really and truly.
Mm. And so I was going to bring up a little bit of advice about pivoting. So I know you had a job, you got through the audition process, you got through the application process, you got the part, and then it fell apart. And could you speak a little bit about how that felt, how you need, like how much time it took for you to pivot and do something else?
How it felt. Honestly, it was heartbreaking. I won't lie. Um, because we were really right in the middle of rehearsals, and I didn't just like get a part. I got like the lead, and like I had never gotten a lead part before in a show, and it was a student written piece, and
Mm.
I know, broke my heart. And it was a student written piece. They, and what was so interesting and why I felt so compelled to do it was because, on a personal note, I hadn't even auditioned. I actually could not make it the night of the auditions, and
Oh.
the man who had written the student who had written the piece, yeah, had said to me that they reached out to me and they were like, you got to do this, you got to do this. And I read the script. It was crazy. It was insane, and I was just like, I was so excited to be a part of it. But then, even when things fell apart, I didn't really take it as a loss, because it let me know this is something that's so important. And you and I think talked about this before. It's so disheartening to me when there's this notion, or there's this like unwritten rule, or feeling that if you're not booked for every single thing back to back, and you're not meeting this person, and you're not taking classes, and you're not doing this and that and the third, that you're not a real true artist, and that your artistry or that your career path doesn't mean anything. Or if you're taking a or if you're having a 9 to 5 job, or you're taking a break from your art, like you are never not an artist regardless of your path. I'm currently taking a job, I'm working from home in grad school, and I'm still a goddamn artist, and I dare anybody to say anything different, because
Mm.
that's what I know to be true. And you know right, and I commend those who, especially now in the middle of COVID, like you taking your I've had so many artists taking jobs as like real estate agents. Like it's the most bizarre thing, but that does not make them any less an artist. And I think that it just bothers me that that's even something that comes up. So I think I'll say 2 things: to never just let what's happening in the world make you cease in your art or stop your art. And secondly, and this one is so simple, have fun. Literally have
Mm.
fun. I Even though, especially even with my social media experiments, even with me in grad school, and it's like teeth now, but even with all of that, I'm still taking the time to find my artistry, to find my bliss, to find my fun, because in general, especially now dealing with COVID, like life is so short, and there's no real world why you
Mm.
should not feel some sense of, like I said, bliss in your life. And if your bliss is your artistry, or at least that's a part of it, then who is anybody to stop you from getting that? Who is this producer, that director, that person, this person, to tell you otherwise about who you are and what you have to gain to the world? And I don't care if you're on stage, if you're in front of the camera, behind the camera, if you are a boom operator, if you are a costume, if you are, I don't care. your art is your art. If you're a playwright and you ain't even on the set, if you're the script writer, you just wrote it off and just sent it off to somebody and they paid you. I don't care. That is your art, and you protect it with your
life. Well, I mean, that's a good closer right there.
That, with your life. Because, and this is another thing.
Go for it.
And this is another thing during my undergrad also is that and what the work that we do as artists is literally a life source. When life is literally falling apart around you, people still flock to the arts. People still go see a show, go see a concert, still buy a CD, go to a museum, because that is what we need as human beings. That is a part of our life source. That is how we communicate with the world, and that a part of that is communication and healing and love and blase, all that pseudo stuff. Even though people look at it as like, it's real. Otherwise, the arts would not be as vital as it is now. There's a reason why everyone is so broken over the fact that Broadway isn't open, that plays are not open, that the theaters, people are so desperate to go see a drive-in now, because that storytelling in some way, shape, or form matters. So it's clear that this is vital. It's clear that what we do as artists is a huge service, a huge service. So when I say protect it with your life, it's because if this is the life that you choose to pick, and this is the path that you choose to go down, is literally going to take your life. And I don't mean take it like kill you. It's going to take all within you in order to cultivate that art and to cultivate that story in this specific way, regardless of your media. But that's the hard, honest truth. So protect it and cultivate it and nurture it and love it with your life. I mean that.
See, everybody, this is the reason why I'm creating the platform I am. Look at all that passion. There needs to be more of that passion in the world. Like, I'm going to be there to help you with that with my new platform. Stay tuned November 1st for it. Check out Kandace's page on IG. Stay tuned for us and all of our stuff that we're putting out here. Thank you for joining us. Thank you, Kandace, for being here. If you have any comments, questions, or concerns, please reach out in a different time. Not right now. I ain't got time for it. Thank you. Bye, guys.